As we begin, and in particular with recognition that tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day, a day to recognize the colonization of this land, we begin our service with our land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that this service or meeting is being held by a community that gathers on the stolen traditional lands of the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag people. We pay respect to elders who lost their lives in the colonization of this land and recognize that these Indigenous tribes are today still facing violations of sovereignty, territory, and water. We also give thanks to the earth we walk upon, the waters, the life-giving plants, and all of the earth's creatures, as well as the wind, sun, moon, and stars. We recognize that this is just a first step in moving toward right relationship with Native peoples and healing of the earth. Good morning again. I'm the Reverend Dr. Cynthia Landrum, and I serve as minister of this congregation. Welcome to the First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton, or FPC as we call it, a welcoming and spiritual community. Today, I want to give special welcome to our musical guest, Voices 21C. We're so happy to have you with us here today. I'm sorry I can't be there in person to greet you. I'm feeling a little sick, so decided it was better for me to work from home today, but I'm so excited to hear you. I also want to give a welcome to any visitors and guests today, and in particular, welcome anyone who is part of the LGBTQIA+ community, recognizing that Tuesday is National Coming Out Day. FPC is proud to be a welcoming and supportive community. I and our staff members are listed in the front of the order of service. Please feel free to ask me or any of these people for more information about the church and its programs after the service, or by email or through the chat if you're online. We also invite you to check out our webpage for news and information, and you can sign up there for our newsletter and email alerts. In the sanctuary, we ask that people remain masked, as well as in RE spaces and the church offices. But in the rest of our building, including our balcony in the sanctuary, we are mask optional. Please check with the people around you about their comfort levels and make sure that the air filters are on when you congregate in any room. After the service, please join us for coffee and conversation in our fellowship hall if you're in person, which is down at the other end of the building, down one level, or join us in a breakout room if you're online. And now I'd like to draw your attention to the announcements in the order of service, as well as the information there that you'll find also about how to sign up for newsletters and email alerts. And now let me hand things over to Brad, who's going to give us another word of welcome.
Good morning, hello, good to see you all. I'm Brad Dumont, I'm the Director of Music here at FPC, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to another normal, abnormal day here in service. In even just one year here, I've realized that no service is exactly alike. And today, if you're visiting us for the first time, is another one of those instances as we welcome Voices 21C, an ensemble that I am privileged to work with and pleased to work with, and our artistic director, André Quadros, who is hiding here in the front row. And he'll be talking to us a lot later. Voices 21C, one of our guiding principles is that in our practice, there are often no wrong answers and that we'll welcome anything at any time. And that is the nature of today's service as well. So there may be a moment where somebody might decide to add something in from Voices 21C that's not listed in your bulletin. If somebody speaks about an experience they had working in the spaces we've worked in. Today's focus is on Crystal and me and Andre's experience with the World Muslim Choral Ensemble this past summer in Sri Lanka, the first inaugural World Muslim Choral Ensemble. And we're going to speak over the course of the service about what that meant to us, why it's important for us as United States citizens to be part of this experience, discussing Islam, singing Arabic music, singing Islamic devotional music, and what it means for us to come back to the United States. We're going to open our service today with the Adhan, or the Adhan, the Muslim call to prayer. And one of the things that we learned while we were there is that there's many variations of this. There's no one way to do this. But many people find that they have a way that they choose to do it. And I'll start by saying that one of my first experiences in Sri Lanka this summer was realizing that there's as much space in Islam as we find in Christian religions here in the United States to have a variety of opinions. And we often generalize it all together into one thought process, into one way of thinking. And so to see that in the ensemble that you're going to see up there, this version of the Azan, this version of the very standard call to prayer, is very different than any version I've ever heard, because it's his version. It's the version that he carries for himself within his religion. And so I invite you to, as they offer up this prayer, to sit, think, and start to consider what this space means for us in the United States. So here's our next video.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. هيا على السلام. هيا على السلام. هيا على الفلاح. هيا على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
And now I'd like to invite Professor André de Quadros up to invite us into this space and to consider what it means to think about the practice of choral singing and singing in the Islamic faith tradition.
Thank you very much, Brad, and thank you all of you for being here in this special moment. I'm reminded when Cynthia was speaking about land and land acknowledgement, I'm reminded that, that this land was not only settled by white people, but white people colonized Africans to come here and enslave them to settle this land. And understanding that our relationship with Islam goes back more than 4 centuries. So 1619, we know that Islam came to the United States from Africa at that time in the boats. Islam is not a foreign religion, it's an American religion. And understanding that allows us also to think of ourselves as deeply connected not only to this wonderful spiritual tradition, but also how much it means for us to be in community with people all over the world. In Islamic faith, as Brad so rightly pointed out, there are diverse interpretations of holy texts. There are three fundamental sources. One is the Quran, which you all know and have heard of. And there's the Hadith, which are the sayings that the Prophet would speak about. And then there's the fiqh, the jurisprudence. And just as in Christianity, people go to scriptures to justify both an argument against same-sex marriage and an argument for same-sex marriage from scriptures. So in the same way, you have Muslims who interpret the role of music differently based on these different sources. And as you know, we are engaged in this idea of harnessing ourselves to music as being a bridge building, peace building, community mobilizing project. So in that spirit, I'm happy to be here, to be inviting you to share our space with us. Thank you very much.
I invite you to join us in our opening hymn and then our covenant and affirmation number 1032 in your teal hymnals. This is one that we've sung recently, and we're going to sing it through twice, so feel free to stand as you wish and join us in singing Daoona, Nayeesh. This morning, our acting director of religious education, Marissa, is away, and we are inviting our message for all ages to be offered to us by three incredible humans whom we met while in Sri Lanka. So we have a video here from the Yusoof family, and I'll just say I think the 12-year-old who starts this video, Amina, is going to take over the world someday. She's an incredible human, so this is one family of individuals who are 12, 15, and 19. They're going to speak for a minute about their experience as young people singing Arabic music, living in Sri Lanka, and then after that we'll invite Quinn to lead us out with our candle to go on to religious education. So here's members of the Yusoof family speaking about the Choral Ensemble.
Hi, I'm Amina Yusoof from the Muslim Choral Ensemble. I am the youngest chorister. I am 12 years old, and these are my brothers.
Hi, I'm Abdullah and I am 15 years old.
Hi, I'm Hussein and I'm 19 years old.
Singing Islamic devotional music is something that we hold very dearly in our heart because it helps us connect to our Prophet and our religion in a different way. It helps us bring out the love and the devotion of Islam through about something that we love to do, singing. And the World Muslim Choral Ensemble this year really help bring that out.
The World Muslim Choral Ensemble was a group of mixed religions and communities. We felt that it didn't matter from where you came or from what religion you were. It mattered that the friends you made and what you sang with them. And it mattered about the time you spent with them.
Being a part of the Muslim Choral Ensemble of Sri Lanka for a long time has opened my mind to a lot of different things, and especially being a part of the inauguration of the World Muslim Choral Ensemble has been a more eye-opening experience where we got to meet people from all over the world, and it really helped us improve our Islamic devotion in music.
Being a part of the MCE and the WMCE has given us the opportunity to spread the message of love and peace of Islam to the rest of the world. Have a good day, everyone.
What I love about Amina in that video is that she just says that being with our friends, connecting with those around us is the most important thing that we can do. Finding some space to sing and talk about the things that we are working on in our lives. And so as Quinn comes up to light our candle to lead us out, is Quinn here? Where is Quinn? Oh, wonderful. Yay, come on up. You can help light the candle today. As you head down, I hope you can take this into your spaces this morning, this idea of speaking with your friends and finding ways through music. You want to take that one? There's a paper there. This next piece we're going to sing is called Adinu, and before we sing it, I'm going to invite André to Quadros to say just a word or two about it.
The text of this piece is by the distinguished and formidable, amazing prophet and theologian Ibn Arabi, who traveled the Mediterranean freely in the 12th, 13th century. He was based in Spain, actually, in the days when Muslims and Jews and Christians lived together in community in Spain. And of course, things have changed so dramatically since then. And his message was always about an ecumenical message. And so this piece embodies that. It talks about, I follow the religion of love. And the word, actually, deen, you'll hear later on, the word deen means love. You'll hear later on in our other song, Deen as-Salam, which actually talks about love as well. So, did you want me to say anything more than that? No.
So we're gonna sing for a bit, and then in the middle of this piece, we're gonna invite a time of joys and sorrows where I'll prompt us to reflect, and I'll be lighting some candles. And so when we get to that moment in the song, invite you to offer some joys and sorrows. The FPC choir is also gonna sing along with this from there. As we go, feel free to add your own voice to the texture. If you'd like to hum along, please do. We'd encourage that.
Of Sufi mystic prophet poet Ibn Arabi, I follow the religion of love. For wherever love is, I am. Love is my faith, love is my religion.
And support this sound, we invite you, as I light these candles at the front of the room, to consider a sorrow that you've held for the week. Consider a sorrow that you've been holding on to, and see if, as we light this candle, you can release it. And within yourself, find a joy. Find something to support this love that sustains us. Find something that allows us to carry on for the week, for the month, for the year. With each candle I light, just see if you can release a sorrow and find a joy. as you consider these joys and sorrows that you've held for today, we're going to light one final candle as we sing one last time through Adinu. We encourage you to close your eyes and just think about this idea of following the religion of love while Mary sings for us as well. Today, I'm going to invite the Voice Frequency Ensemble to stay where they are for now, because we're going to be back here in a second. But today, we're reflecting on this idea of the World Muslim Choral Ensemble. And I'm going to ask André de Quadros to speak in a few minutes. I didn't say this clearly at the beginning, or it maybe went past you, but André is the founder of this ensemble and the artistic director with partners in Sri Lanka. And so today, we're going to talk just a bit about some experiences we had and this idea of singing communities and Islamic faith traditions. And we're going to start by looking at the fusion, in some ways, of these two with this next piece. But before we do that, I have a few short videos, very short videos, from 3 members of the World Muslim Choral Ensemble who are going to speak to their experience as Sri Lankans who practice Islam. And one thing that I wasn't aware of before we went was that Islam is not the primary religion of Sri Lanka. It's the 5th practiced religion. So even though we went to Sri Lanka and we were taking part in this Muslim choral ensemble, this incredibly specific space, it was specific still there. Buddhism is a primary religion. Christianity holds a lot in Sri Lanka, but Islam is not the primarily practiced religion. So for us to be in that space, where we were actually still in an area where it wasn't the most practiced thing, but focusing on it allowed us a lot of insight into the way that many of these members of the World Muslim Choral Ensemble experience being Muslim in their country. We were there during a period of New Year, starting their New Year holiday, and to see that the majority of spaces within the country were not necessarily reflecting that, but the community that we were in was. They were having these celebrations. So I want to invite this first video, Sajida Akbar Ali, one of the first members of the Muslim Choral Ensemble, and then we'll hear from 2 more folks. So there'll be 3 short 1-minute videos here. And I do think you can make these full screen now.
Hi, my name is Sajida Akbar Ali. I'm a chorister with the Muslim Choral Ensemble in Sri Lanka. Our choir was formed in 2017 with the purpose of spreading peace, love, tolerance and understanding not only within but among communities. In July 2022, we had the opportunity to launch the World Muslim Choral Ensemble, whereby our choir collaborated with musicians and vocalists from India, Pakistan, Iran, and the USA. And we found that music transcends the barriers of nationalities and religions. Not only does it do that, it helps sensitize communities and extends a deeper understanding of the value of unity.
A sole note in a musical manuscript once played may sound quite bland or may sound quite plain, but it is the amalgamation of that one note with so many other sole notes that together forms a harmony. This analogy is exactly what we express and what we manifest here in this platform. This platform brings together so many individuals from different cultures, creeds, and various facets of human existence that are put to one stage with one goal in mind, with the goal of uniting as one humanity. And this platform is the one platform where all those soul notes get together and create a harmony. And not just a harmony. This is the place where that harmony meets humanity.
And finally, we have one video from Shimmer.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I am Shimar Ahmad and I am a chorister from the Muslim Choral Ensemble all the way from Sri Lanka. MCE, in my words, stands as a platform that exists solely to spread the message of peace through the essence of music. That being said, one reason behind me always being part of this beautiful initiative is the fact that I believe it's a message to the world that goes beyond something words can express alone. It spreads the ideology that all of us human beings, in the end of the day, believe in finding peace amongst ourselves for the betterment of our future.
So in a second, I'm going to invite our FPC choir up, and we're going to sing a combination of two pieces, the Daoona Nobis Pacham and a salawat. And the salawat is a prayer said in Arabic that is offered blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad. It is meant to be a prayer of devotion, but also a prayer that can bring you support, healing, life, a meditation. There's many things written about the salawat. There's many discussions about it, and even arguments, as always, about the translation of it and its deeper meaning. So this salawat is one version of it, both musically and textually. And we're going to combine it with the Daoona Nobis Pacham. So FPC choir, if you want to join us. André, is there anything else that you would say about the salawat?
So the salawat means prayer. So it's one of the most important prayers. It says, blessings on the descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. But peace be unto him. And it's when we think about the descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, and we have in our world Muslim choral ensemble, we say that the great ummah, which is the Muslim community worldwide, is a message of solidarity embodied in this particular prayer. So although we may not necessarily identify as descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, but we stand in solidarity with the community. Thank you.
Oh
I'm going to invite Crystal Morin up to say a few words about her experience that she will tell you about working in the Muslim Choral Ensemble and the World Muslim Choral Ensemble. So, Crystal.
Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here. Thank you again for having us. Amidst the incredible uprising in Iran happening right now, sparked by the killing of Mahsa Amini, Nika Amini, and women courageously marching in the streets, taking off and burning their hijabs, I'm offering you a reflection of putting one on. For our final concert in the World Muslim Choral Ensemble, we were invited to wear our country's traditional clothing. I don't know what you would call that for the United States, but I felt that our traditional choir wear would be really boring in comparison to what other outfits I imagined from the other choristers. After explaining this to Auntie Hadia, one of the festival organizers, that our normal concert attire for our choir was, well, this, she offered to dress me for the final performance once we arrived. When it came to select my outfit, Hadia suggested I wear a hijab for the concert, and I agreed. Then she and another Iranian World Muslim Choral Ensemble participant, Magol, gave me a head cap and began wrapping fabric around me in different styles. I felt a tinge of uncomfortability, and I couldn't quite name why. Even though I had agreed, I felt like Hadia and the other singers suggested I wear it, and that felt like the invitation I needed. I immediately began to question whether it was appropriate for me as a non-Muslim to wear a hijab for the concert. Hadia shared some information with me, assured me it was an appropriate choice that I could make, and wanted to respect my wishes and not pressure me to wear anything I wasn't comfortable with. After speaking with her, I did a little bit more reflection and realized there were a lot of misconceptions about hijab wearing floating around in my head. I worried about cultural appropriation, particularly because I've learned that as an outsider of a culture, not everything is for me or for me to just try on. And especially because I thought hijab wearing was a sacred practice only for devout practitioners and something to be worn consistently, not sporadically. Also, due to forced hijab wearing, I realized that I still saw hijabs as a sign of oppression towards women. Realizing that I had no sense of the validity or source of some of these thoughts urged me to confront my lack of understanding. Thinking about this later on in my hotel room, I immediately jumped on my phone and did some research online about the history and practice of wearing hijabs. Looking back now, it seems quite ridiculous to have turned to Google when I had a wealth of information and experience right in front of me, even though we had the internet's immediacy. But from this research, I was reminded that a hijab is just a version of a head covering. And head coverings predate Islam and have been used by women all over the world of many different religious faiths for centuries. I was reminded that the Virgin Mary is often depicted wearing a hijab, imagery that was very familiar to me, and that head coverings traditionally worn by Christians and Jews were gradually replaced with bonnets and hats in the 19th century. Hadia emphasized that it is a person's choice to wear a hijab on their own terms with God, and anyone forcing any other understanding is not practicing Islam. I also learned that some of the other reasons someone might wear a hijab are that they enjoy the feeling of privacy it affords, that they hold a commitment to modesty, maybe it allows them not to fuss over their hair, or because they want to represent their Muslim identity and make it known in a particular setting and environment. I was also reminded by countless articles of instances of horrific hate, hostility, and discrimination that hijab-wearing Muslims have faced as a result of Islamophobia across the globe. I was excited to learn that there is a holiday to celebrate hijab wearing, World Hijab Day, on February 1st, a day that invites women and non-binary people all over the globe from any belief system to try on the hijab, see what it's like to wear it, and invite conversation, particularly to combat hijabophobia. I so enjoyed this experience of being dressed by Hadia and the other members of the World Muslim Choral Ensemble, wearing the hijab she tied for me and seeing the delight of other choir members who loved seeing me in one. I remember André's reaction to me in particular, who was like, "What? That's Crystal?" This small experience prompted deep reflection for me on Islamophobia that I had internalized. Amidst our national awareness of the events of extreme violence in Iran, it feels important to mention that Iranian women aren't just fighting against forced hijab. In Iran, women are not allowed to sing, ride bikes, swim in open water, enter stadiums, divorce, or leave the country without authorization from a male guardian, and more. These are not the rules of Islam. These are acts to control and dominate women. These are acts of religious extremism. I'm hoping that sharing this experience might empower you to join me in interrogating the ways hatred and misjudgments of Muslims and of the Islamic faith may have crept into our consciousness, knowingly or unknowingly. Thank you.
We're going to offer our sharing of gifts now, and I'm going to invite Voices 21C up here to sing Would You Harbor Me. This month's gifts are shared without Metro West, and you can learn more about them in your bulletin and more about National Coming Out Day this week. Voices 21C, if you would mind joining us for Would You Harbor Me. This piece, Would You Harbor Me by Eastside Barnwell, I'm sure many of you know Barnwell, writer of We Are and many of our other great UU songs. Would You Harbor Me asks us the question of who would we welcome? Who would we take in their time of need? Who would we support? And in this song today, we ask you to feel free to close your eyes again and just reflect on the text that you'll hear twice. So this is Would You Harbor Me?
Would you harbor me? Would I harbor you? Would you harbor me?
Our experience of being in Sri Lanka was characterized and colored by our experience of being in Sri Lanka during a time of political revolution, a political revolution that is still happening right now in the country. And this is where I just want to speak to the value of us being present in that space this summer. If you're not aware, Sri Lanka has been going through an incredible crisis of political regime change. It wasn't change a few months ago, but it is now, after having a very intense, peaceful protest against the government. And that did result in change, but not necessarily in the change they were looking for, as they installed a new president who was actually just the former prime minister, and it didn't really give them any new sense of government. While we were there, we experienced an incredible, let me be honest, we didn't experience it. The country was experiencing an incredible fuel crisis. And we were there, present while it was happening. And when I say incredible fuel crisis, I mean that people were waiting in line for 4 or 5 days for gas at a gas station. Cars were lined up miles long, and they were creating systems so that they could exchange keys and bring food to each other and move the line forward, because the government was imposing certain kinds of sanctions and rules. We were encouraged, Crystal and me, to not take part in this festival by many people from the United States. Many people who said we'd be taking the resources of the economy, who said, you're gonna go to a Muslim country during a time of political unrest? Are you crazy? Why would you put yourself in that kind of danger? What we were aware of was our people on the ground saying, there is no danger here. And this is where we had to trust the knowledge that we had of the people who were living the experience to say, don't be afraid of what you're hearing in your country about their perception of us. There's no danger here. Yes, there's political unrest, no more so than we see in the United States every day. There's things that we might want to be nervous about. There's things that we want to be aware of before we come, but there's no reason not to come. And when I think about the internalized Islamophobia and general phobia that we carry as people, as humans, as United States citizens, it was at play even just in that idea of wanting to find a way to separate us from this experience of going to a country that's not a primarily Muslim country, but having that weaponized against it, and saying that in this time of political unrest there, how could you possibly go? And so we came around and we had many conversations with André, and we were always, Crystal and me, in a spot where we were willing to trust our people there, trust the people who are in the space, trust the people who are saying, we feel confident that you as American citizens will be more than fine here. And we did. And I have to say that there's no bigger regret that I would have in my life so far if we had chosen to not go. Being in this country, being witness to the experience of the World Muslim Choral Ensemble, the first ever gathering of this group of people, of singers from Iran and Bangladesh and India and Kashmir, coming together with people from Sri Lanka to share in their religion, share in their faith, share in their music, was transformative. And I say this just to, as I continue to work through my internalized experience of Islamophobia, of things that I don't even know I'm carrying, when I get into situations, to say that we just need to keep putting ourselves into those places that give us some discomfort, because the discomfort is where we'll find the change. The discomfort is where we'll find growth, and where we'll explore, and where we'll develop, and we'll find new capacities to love and to be different. And so this is where I challenge us this week, challenge us as we move forward, to find that spot this week that makes us maybe a little uncomfortable, that we'd normally shy away from, and ask ourselves how we might lean into it. I'm going to invite André to Quadros up just to say anything else you might want to add, and we'll start to wrap up our service after this. Thank you for this.
Brad has spoken very eloquently about the project, and so when we founded by the way, I'm not Muslim, so I just wanted to identify myself. When we founded the project of the World Muslim Choral Ensemble, it was the idea that the devotional music of Islam would be a crucible in which we would all find community. We understand that singing together is not going to bring peace. We understand that singing together is necessary and vital, but we also say that singing together could be an impulse for social action. That change, as Brad pointed out, comes from being in positions and situations where we have to learn, where we have to change. So the work that we've been doing, and some of you here may know that the Voices 21C is also engaged in work with people who are formerly incarcerated. And when we go into prisons, as we have and as we will continue to negotiate our relationship with people who are formerly incarcerated, we know that so many of them, so many of the African Americans have a long heritage of Islam. Islam is thriving as a peaceful religion in American prisons. It's important to recognize that. So when we think about the World Muslim Choral Ensemble in this minority community in Sri Lanka, it is also a way of recognizing what we have close to home. We are connected here, close to home. So thank you very much for inviting us to be present with you in spiritual communion today, and we're grateful for this space for our work. Thank you.
Now invite you to join us in singing our closing song. We'll jump forward in the service. Join us in singing our closing song, Peace Be With You. We're not going to use the piano today because they wouldn't have done that. So I am going to ask if Voices 21C, while we're singing this, could you come up for our closing postlude as well, Ya Hanana? So peace be with you till we meet again. Closing song. Peace and peace be with you till we meet again. As I place this task before you, keep the standard Lord before you. Peace be with you till we meet again. Our postlude for today is a song called Ya Hanana, a song of praise, a song of exaltation. You'll notice that we'll be clapping. Feel free to join us in that clapping. But there is one piece that you have to be aware of. We clap up and out in this song. We send exaltation upwards. This is a Sufi song of praise. So as we're clapping, hands together right in front of you and sending the praise upwards. Zuharudinul Amwayyad Bizuhuri Nabi Ahmad Zuharudinul Amwayyad Bizuhuri Nabi Ahmad Ya Hanana bi Muhammad Zalikal Fadlu min Allah. Ya Hanana